In the meantime, what you got?
Somebody said because of the wording is one part in Baruch 6 and 9 that confused. He said, so if you read it, I'll read it right now. You said you know what I'm talking about. Baruch chapter 6, verse 9.
You gotta remember, you sitting a lot farther back. They can't pick up what you're saying.
Baruch chapter 6 and verse 9. And taking gold as it were for virgins that loveth to go gay. That's the part that they made crowns for the heads of their gods. I guess he's trying to say is that, you know, the gay that the world talking about, does that mean something else? In another sense.
No. Gay, we know that even in today, well, as history goes, a word will take on a different meaning from the original saying. Like I remember a while back, people used to say, "Gay don't even mean you like another man. Gay mean happy." You know what I'm saying? And then when you go further back than that, gay meant rich. Yeah, remember when he says gay clothing?
So in that sense, it just means that virgins who love to go rich. Love spoil themselves on gold and all that. Because how he was trying to make it sound like he's like, yeah, man, virgin going gay. I'm like, but I don't think that mean that, but I asked a question.
All right. So read it and read on. As a fact. Go back to 8.
Baruch chapter 6 and verse 8. As for thy tongue, it is polished by the workmen, and they themselves are gritted and laid over with silver. Yet are they but false and cannot speak. And taking gold as it were for a virgin that loveth to go gay. They make crowns for the heads of their gods. Sometimes also the priests convey from their gods gold and silver and bestow it upon themselves.
All right. So when you read this whole context is going in to jewelry being decked in certain types of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nah, it was, of course, in the midst of idolatry or whatever. But when you read it in context, you see it has nothing to do with somebody liking their own sex. So the gay in this verse is not talking about, as we know it today, homosexuality.
He thought he had something. Like, bro, I'm thinking,
what do pomegranates represent? Yeah. God knows some. They put them on their garments and stuff, like Aaron. Yeah. I know that was one of the questions I had.
I can't tell you. I don't know. A while back, I remember somebody was doing a breakdown with pomegranates, and they were saying that's how they got the shield of David and all this other stuff, because the thing on it, yeah, it has like that 6-point thing on it. But yeah, that was a while back though. But I've never looked into it because I've never rocked the so-called shield of David.
That was one of the places we were talking about how the Aaron robes and stuff like that. They had the bells and pomegranates and stuff like that. Jewels, not the jewels, but precious stones and all. I was trying to figure out, is there something special about the pomegranates or something?
That I would have to be responsible and say I don't know. I have to get that answer. Any questions or scenarios from the week?
The only thing, it's not the only thing, but one thing that, I had to talk to somebody about today, what do they call it? Is it called polygamy or something like that?
Yeah, multiple wives.
Yeah. So they were trying to say, somebody asked me a question, did Moses have more than one wife? Or did Noah have? Well, I told them no, I know. But they said that Moses have more than one wife.
You the historian. What you asking me that for?
I told him, I was like, I'm gonna tell you, yeah. But I'm also go back and double check. But from what I read, he had more than one wife.
I know when he left, he married the Midianite woman, and he bared children from her. Rest of you, the historian. I'm sitting here. I'm actually kind of shocked that you would ask that out of all people.
I wanted to double check, and I was like, yeah, because from what I read, it's always good to also go back and double check again. But also from there, it's a question. It's like, dang, somebody asked me about Melchizedek again. And like, does the Bible have any more history?
He had a Salakia. He had Darbis. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Darbis, something like that.
That sounds familiar.
And Safara.
Okay. Somebody said, is there any more in the Bible? Is there any more history about Melchizedek than the one part we read? I told him, nah, it's just that one part that's the only thing I know about Melchizedek.
But I believe he did have more than one. Well, he did have more than one wife.
Yeah.
I'm conflicted at because you are the historian. Is did he have them at the same time, or did one of them pass off and then he? Because remember, it was one that was from Cush or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the other one was the Midian.
I don't think one. She might have died. She might have died. But I think that's what they probably got me at. That's what I was checking for. And then they tried to ask me the name. I'm like, my God. You asked me one question just to try to ask me another one. To try to see if you can find something. Like, see? And everybody into Melchizedek, was he just a spirit? They trying to make it almost seem like he was supernatural, like an angel or something. They were like, you don't hear about him no more. And that's the only time we had an encounter.
You don't hear about when he just appeared from. You don't read about his death.
I heard somebody say that he was supposed to
Know about all that.
Something I did want to address. Something I did want to address though. Sometimes statements get made, and I might not say nothing right on the spot, but you pretty much know you're gonna hear my mouth about it later. Let's go to Deuteronomy 23:19.
Deuteronomy chapter 23 and verse 19. Thou shalt not lend upon usury to thy brother, usury of money, usury of victuals, usury of anything that is lent upon usury.
All right. Read it again.
Thou shalt not lend upon usury to thy brother, usury of money, usury of victuals, usury of anything that is lent upon usury.
Now, why you think I pulled the scripture? What situation y'all think I'm talking about? Nobody got a clue from last weekend? Let me mute real quick. So, read the scripture again.
Deuteronomy chapter 23 and verse 19. Thou shalt not lend upon usury to thy brother, usury of money, usury of victuals, usury of anything that is lent upon usury.
Right. So the scripture is clear that when it comes to the Israelites, you cannot lend to them upon usury. Now, what you have to understand is when I made that statement and you say, well, according to y'all, that's where strike number one comes in. Because are we ruling off of what we say? Or did we put forth 2 or 3 classes to present why we saying what we saying? That's what you got to ask yourself first. So now, if that's the case, if you saw the classes and you agree with what the class is saying, you see the scriptures, you read it, we putting it there. It ain't like we just said, okay, one day, bam, this is what it is. We put the evidence there for you to see it. Now you got to ask yourself, do you actually believe in the evidence? If you do, then you can no longer say, we say this. This is what the Bible's going to say. Now, here's another thing. Whether someone is Israel or not, you being a Israelite woman, Israelite man, Israelite man, whatever the case, by you being the Israelite, you live by what? The laws. What is your job to do with the laws then? Keep it enforced. So if you say, well, because this person isn't an Israelite, they don't have to do it, then what are you doing? What's the punishment? Precept. Let's go to Matthews. Yes. Start at 18.
Matthew chapter 5 and verse 18. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven.
Right. So your duty as an Israelite woman, man, is to, no matter what, enforce the laws. And we don't give anybody pass from the laws regardless of who they are. Now, do I go out there to the heathens and no, we prophesy against them. But you're gonna have some heathens that sincerely say, all right, I accept what I am and I'm gonna do whatever the will is. He still can't come into the congregation with us, but he gonna abide by those laws. This is don't get me wrong, this is the Edomites' kingdom right now. This is the heathens' kingdom. They living it up. But your job is to force the laws. Especially if it's put under your household. Case in point, Abraham. Ishmael wasn't Israel. But you think that stopped Abraham from making him keep the laws? No, that's why you think they religion today got how people say, well, you see Muslim and Hebrews, they almost sound exactly the same. It's a reason why. Because when you stand with Abraham, you're going to keep the laws. Abraham taught his kids the laws. Why? Because, well, one of the things about it is we know that Esau is probably the only nation that ain't promised no type of mercy. But you want to obtain as much mercy as possible, right? So, with that being said, you want them to attain as much mercy as possible, I would strongly recommend you force that to be kept. The laws, period. And I'm using that one I'm using that matter just to paint a bigger picture. You want as much mercy as possible to be obtained, or just say the hell with it, ball out, have a good time, don't worry about studying, none of that. Let them go all out with it. You know what I'm saying? I want to paint a picture to you based off of that matter there. What I'm saying is, it would be pointless to make them study and everything else, and then this particular thing you don't got to worry about that because whatever. This particular thing you got to worry about that because whatever. Don't do that. Hell, if you're gonna do that, just let them ball out. Let them go all out with it. So when I was looking up, okay, let me approach this particular situation. Why? Because it's another thing that the scriptures tell you. I believe it's Proverbs 29. Proverbs 29 and 2.
Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn.
Right. So scriptures say that when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. That's talking about in all things. Like when we get the kingdom, we're going to be in rulership. After they serve out their terms of punishments, everybody, people think that the kingdom is just going to be this awful, terrible place for every other nation. No, because the righteous are going to be in rulership. Everybody be treated justly. You know what I'm saying? So when the righteous are in rulership, the people rejoice. But when the wicked, the world mourn, which is what you see now. Everybody in their own land, they mourning. Us, we mourning. You know what I'm saying? Our laws are just. So you enforce, why? Because we are supposed to be a just people. So the whole point of that was when it came out, it was some other things that was said that made me want to go touch this thing, but I said I'll just paint a picture from that small part with that law to show you just how much big of a spectrum to look at. You know what I'm saying? So make sure y'all really consider. Well, first you just gotta ask yourself, do you honestly believe or agree with the things that's been taught? Because if not, then you're gonna always have that little conflict. You know what I'm saying? Like I told y'all, when we bought it out, I dreaded on that thing for about 2 or 3 weeks before. And we had been talking about it for years. You know what I'm saying? Even when you first came in, remember we was having little chatters here and there about it, about the Hispanics and stuff. So when I went to looking back into it, started digging a little deeper, I kind of dreaded on that thing for weeks before I said, all right, we gotta bring it up. So now that it's out, you have to really go back, watch both parts of it or whatever, and see, do you agree with that? You know what I'm saying? Because if not, it's gonna always hold that little conflict, and that little hot pocket of space that's there, it'll spring to something else. So that would be my advice on that particular situation. If that's something that's a conflict within you, go back and watch those 2 classes and just keep it real with yourself. Do you agree with it? If not, then I mean, it is what it is. But everything's on wax now. It's on wax now. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you want to go back and just view it, it's on wax. All right, anything? Let me kick back any questions? Any other scenarios from the week?
You know how they keep trying to take the laws and commandments done away with. They try to hit me with First Timothy 1:5. When it says, now the end of the commandment is charity, out of a pure heart and of a good conscience and of faith. First Timothy chapter 1:5. Chapter 1 verse 5.
Unfeigned. So what was the point of him pulling this verse?
To try to prove that as long as you have those, the laws and commandments are done with. Yeah, that's what he tried to use. Typical Christian trying to find anything to say the laws and commandments are done with.
All right, read the script.
We said read that one again. 1 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 5. Now the end of the commandment is charity, out of a pure heart and out of good conscience and of faith unfeigned. Unfeigned.
All right, so what is charity?
Basically, how you treat your brother. Respect.
You can give me one word for charity. What would it be?
Could it be used for another word like love?
All right, out of a pure heart. What does that mean?
Mind got to be clean. A holy mind.
All right, come on.
And of a good conscience. And of faith. And unfeigned.
Unfeigned means genuine. What about this verse could tell you anything about this ending commandments? This is commandments.
I tried to tell him, I said, in order to have charity is to tell you how to deal with your brother that falls in the laws and commandments. I said, then the faith that still falls in the laws and commandments. Your brother is telling you, if you got these things, then you don't have to keep it's done away with.
If you have these things, then you're already keeping it.
He understand that. He want to argue the fact that if you got these things, then it's done away with.
It's like when brother want to argue about the scripture that says to those there is no law, and he not understanding that it's telling you that the law was made for the brothers who lack these things.
Right.
If you already have these things, if you doing these things, then there's no law to convict you with, so the law ain't made for you technically. But it's not saying that you excluded from keeping them.
Right.
No, the reason why they're not for you is because there's nothing they can convict you with those laws.
It's almost the same thing.
Yeah, man, brother's simple. Brother's simple, man. Just tell the brother.
Now, I came from, that thing called conch, right?
Conch?
Yeah, the food called conch.
There ain't no damn food.
They call it a food.
Yeah.
We had to cook that at work. And this mother effer walked by, and I'm telling him, I'm like, bro, don't eat it. I'm getting mad because I see people walking by picking it up while walking away eating it. But he come out like, bro, don't eat that conch. I'm telling you, it's an abomination. So I start walking away. He turn around and eat the conch. I'm like, bro, didn't I just tell you not to eat that conch? I said, you up here sitting there eating. He was like this, man. I'm telling you, man, it ain't nothing wrong with what I'm doing. And then he tried to hit me with that. I see, the law's done away with. You want to talk about something in the old.
So him having love excludes him from eating unclean foods.
That's what he was trying to say. Not really. He wanted to eat that damn conch. He got mad because I was telling him that you saying you're a Christian, but you don't keep the laws and commandments.
Well, Christians don't keep the commandments. So, which Christian was a derogatory term? It's what they don't understand.
Excuse me.
It was a derogatory term. When you read it in the scriptures, they wasn't meaning that in a good way when they called them a Christians in Acts. That wasn't meant for a good thing because remember they hated Christ. So when he saw them, I'm like, yeah, that's them Christians. Like, basically saying that they was fake. It wasn't being called a Christian wasn't a good thing. That's why I was like, when I see some of these brothers today and they said if any man struggle as a Christian, this so. I was like, yeah, you don't even understand what you're talking about. The people that called them Christians, they weren't saying that as, oh, y'all some good Christ-loving brothers. They was calling them fake brothers because Christ was coming pushing a different his Christ was teaching I guess what we would call revolutionary. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, oh, y'all follow him. Y'all ain't number some Christians. It's like, that's like today. Y'all in the building with me, right? Now, let's say you go over there to that side and they don't like me over there. So let's say y'all ain't nothing but some Judaites. That's not a compliment. They were saying that to be disrespectful.
Yeah.
Said, so same thing when they was calling them Christians. It wasn't a good thing. But you can't tell that to certain people. So
you didn't fight. You gonna fight. You telling me
the Bible say this? Y'all keep Judea teaching all that, and what they saying, the Bible don't say it. What I'm saying is the truth, but you know what I'm saying. What they got their own thing, what they want to believe. You can celebrate birthdays and everything else, and because you believe what I'm showing you, and you go around, you say no, you can't celebrate birthdays. I mean, you ain't nothing but a Judaite. It was meant to insult you. Though what you saying may be the truth, but it was really meant to insult you. So that's the same thing with being called a Christian. It's calling you fake. It's saying what you're teaching is false. You're a liar, and all you doing is saying what somebody else said.
should be shut down to our prison.
Right.
That's what that was all about. So, yeah, to be called a Christian is not like today how they try to make it sound. Ooh, that's a good God-fearing person there. No, that ain't what I was talking about.
Y'all teach hate.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The main ones who talk evil. And then, of course, we want to separate ourselves from being called Christian today because of what falls under it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody that's called Christian today, they really are Christians because they ain't teaching the truth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They ain't speaking what Christ was speaking, they teaching evil. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you become a nigga when you tell them the truth. That's the first thing somebody at the church will call you.
You do it against church.
You know. I have to tell Keisha, she gonna come at me. And God, and I was like, you don't go with that Martin Luther King talking and speech and shit. Watch out. They always don't even go to church and you talk about hating God.
Once you're doing the head movement with it.
Yeah. The hand up too. I said, yeah, come on, man. That's Martin Luther King to his best.
I'm trying to fight you about that shit, man.
Yeah. Who I was asking somebody it was about price and stuff. They kept on talking to me, yeah, you know, look how Christ looked with his Pharisee. I was like, that's not Christ. I started explaining to her what that man said, man, I'm just gonna get that big called me a conspiracy theorist. Like, that's all y'all black Hebrews, that's all y'all do, y'all big conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, see, we have an issue. Like me, I hate that black Hebrew Israelite shit. That shit pisses me off. Pisses me off because it's like calling you fake again.
Right.
Like the black Hebrews.
Right.
Well,
it's only one Hebrew.
Right. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? The Hebrews are black. Right. So, but to call you the black Hebrew is to say that you are the fake one because the real Hebrew is the white one.
Tell them, I'm like, y'all use the derogatory terms all the time. First time we tell you Christianity is fake, you ready to go all out on a war. What's some evil people, man? Christians are evil for real.
No, yeah. All that holy crap that they be speaking go straight out the window. Get them at it. Definitely God black.
Yeah. But our people hate themselves like with a compassion, man. Like the moment like how you just said, tell them Christ black. The only time color don't matter is when you telling them what color Christ is.
Right. Right. I noticed that because even when you start naming some of the prophets being black in the Bible, some of them agree with you. Yep. And Christ is black too. Whoa, brother, you pushing it now, man. Show me that. You show it to him, brother. It's talking about his feet. You show the arms. I said, so you telling me this man had a damn body coloration? Only his arms and his feet was black? I said, that's amazing.
Oh, damn, boy. I don't know, y'all got me saying. That's all I can say. I'm like, it's common sense when you think about it. White people get sunburned.
Right. They don't turn black.
I mean, walk there with the wilderness. Everything, you feel? Back then, you did a whole bunch of walking.
Ain't have much business to run into. Get away from that sun. This brother gonna try to tell me about the Passover like he know more about the Passover than me. You know what the hell you talking about, man? Just sit your simple ass down. But the man thought he really knew. He named one part and thought he just knew the whole Passover. Yeah, Passover about when they had to mark the doors with that blood so the angel of death would fly right past you. I said, how the Passover came about, brother? When they put the blood on the door. I said, how did it come about? He told me, I just told you. I said, all right, you're absolutely right. That's just how it started. I said, I thought it had to do something with them just trying to get up out of Egypt. I said, what happened to Pharaoh and then when he was about to kill all the firstborns, huh? You missed all that, didn't you?
Well, you speak some of their some new stuff.
Christians think they know it all.